Hey, welcome to Old Testament Survey. So those of you that are still in our course through the BBI Diploma program through Baptist University of the Americas here in San Antonio, Texas, we welcome you to course number 2. And this is going to be awesome, man. We are excited. This course, Old Testament Survey, is the second course in our Theological Studies certification portion of this BBI Diploma program. And so I just want to introduce you to a couple things real quick. In this very first video, we're going to look at some course objectives so that we kind of all have an understanding of what we're doing, why we're doing it, where we're going. I want to also just kind of overview the material, the course layout, and the process that we're going to use throughout the course here for our Old Testament survey. So here are the course objectives. The way we like to say it is by the end of the course, the students will be able to, and I've got just a couple of these. The very first one is identify major themes and authors and genres in the Old Testament. So at the end of this course, you should be able to say, hey, this is kind of what's going on. Here's some of the authors involved, some of the genres in the literature that's used throughout the Old Testament. Then we're going to look at having an overview level understanding of the covenants in the Old Testament. Again, when we title a course something like Old Testament Survey, we're not trying to go in super great detail in every single little thing. It'll be similar when we get to our New Testament survey. We're going to have to cover a lot of ground in a short amount of time together. So we're going to go quick. So we're just kind of looking at overview level things. Don't worry. As we get further into the program, things will get deeper and slower, and our level of understanding and comprehension will grow for sure. So we're just trying to have an overview level of covenants in the Old Testament. We're, number 3, looking to develop a process for properly reading narrative and prophetic passages. These are two types of passages that happen a lot in the Old Testament that are often taught poorly or misunderstood or misinterpreted. It's very difficult to take a narrative story, a really long, big story in the Scripture, and often we try to read ourselves into it. So we're going to kind of unpack some of the dangers of reading yourself into a story and what proper reading of a narrative passage would look like. Similarly with prophetic passages, when we're talking about symbology and imagery that's going to be used in the future, sometimes we try to get into a name it, claim it type of theology, and it's just unhealthy. So we want you to really understand a really healthy process for properly reading narrative and prophetic passages. And then we want you to be able to identify and track key Old Testament passages and how they point to Jesus. Specifically, we want to recognize that all of the Old Testament is written by God through the pen of man for the purpose of drawing our attention to the Messiah, which ultimately draws us to a love relationship with Him. And so we really want to make sure that you can kind of take some of these key Old Testament passages and that you see Jesus in those passages. So the first few videos here in topic number 1 are going to just walk us through some of these big picture things, the major themes, authors, genres, and then we're going to kind of also go through those two how-to type videos of how to read narrative and prophetic passages, and then we're going to kind of get into the main videos of the course where we begin to look at some of the Old Testament passages and how they connect to Jesus. Our primary course material for Old Testament Survey is going to be taught by a good friend of mine, Pastor Ryan Daglish. Ryan is an author, a teacher, a pastor, and podcaster. He actually created last year and debuted in 2024 the Simpler Bible Podcast, which is an incredible journey, a daily journey where thousands of people go and listen every single day as Pastor Ryan walks through the whole entire Bible in a 1-year period of time. I actually have a copy of Ryan's book right here with me, and he's a good friend of mine. Like I said, one of my daughters actually goes to his church and attends his church, and so I'm super excited about having Ryan on board in this project. I was actually talking to him about what we were doing here at BBI and through Baptist University of the Americas, and he immediately offered to help. He was like, man, I want in on this. And I knew Ryan because of his background and friendship, and in fact, his book called The Shadow actually talks about tracing Jesus through the Old Testament, in the shadow of the Old Testament, in a foreshadowing of the coming Messiah. And so I knew that Ryan had done a great deal of work in the Old Testament specifically. And so when he offered to help, I was like, man, could you create a custom Old Testament survey course for us? And so he did, and I am super excited about that. So he's created a series of videos that we're going to use in this course. They are absolutely excellent. I promise you, you will not be disappointed. It is a great, incredible blessing to have him join us on this project. I couldn't be more excited. So it's going to be a great class as we explore the Old Testament together, tracing stories of Jesus throughout. So up next, here's what's going to happen. The next couple videos are going to be done by me, and I'm going to just kind of talk high-level picture. We're going to kind of hit some of the academic things, some of the major themes, the books, the authors, the timeline, genres, literary genres throughout the Old Testament. And then I'm going to hand it over to Ryan, and we're going to close out topic number 1 with 2 instructional kind of how-to videos. And how do we read narrative passages properly? How do we read prophetic passages properly? Then you'll have a discussion and a quiz for the end of topic number 1, just like we do in all of our topics. And then topic number 2, from topic number 2 to topic number 4, Ryan's going to be teaching. And so we're going to have a list of his videos that he's done custom for this class. We're going to focus a lot in the first, in topic number 2, we're going to focus primarily in the Pentateuch, in the first 5 books of the Bible, a lot of time in Genesis, and then we're going to kind of overview some of the other things, some of the other major themes throughout the Old Testament. It's going to be great, and I look forward to being with you on this journey.